I'm sure as you can see the scoreboard. Uh, Last night, Florida Panthers beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 6-1 in a Game 7 in Toronto. I might add. Hasn't even been a full day yet. Sitting here in my room, beautiful Monday afternoon. Sun's out, kind of messing up my lighting with these blinds, so I definitely need to get curtains and all that. But I just sit here as somebody who I feel for Leafs fans. I really do. Like, I'm a Washington Capitals fan. I've followed the team since fall 2008 when I was 13. That's when I really started to get into the game. You know, having like old newspapers and stuff, following them throughout the season. And like I've had to endure some tough playoff moments. I've got a few playoff scars. Game 7 losses to the Rangers. 3 series losses to the Pittsburgh Penguins. By the way, they went on to win the title each time. 3 Game 7 losses to the Rangers, to be specific. The last one we blew a 3-1 series lead. Swept by Tampa Bay in 2011. Dwayne Rollison's last great playoff run. Halaked in 2010 when we won the President's Trophy, which we also blew a 3-1 series lead to lose to the Canadiens. Hell, 2009 against the Penguins, up 2-0. We lost the series in 7. After coming back from a 3-1 deficit against the Rangers in round 1. And the year before I really started to follow them, they lost a Game 7 at home to the Flyers after being down 3-1. And that's ultimately what made 2018 all the more special. All those playoff failures for a decade. And by the way, we missed the playoffs in 2014, my senior year of high school. So that should tell you how old I am. I think about the Capitals, the Wild. They've lost 8 straight first-round series. But we've never really pictured the Wild as a contender. So they skate on by despite that. The Jets have made a conference final before the Leafs made it. And this is their second ever existence. Now that conference final was 2018, but still, you get what I'm saying. The Colorado Avalanche, in 8 straight postseason appearances, have made it out of round 2 once. And the difference between the Capitals, the Avalanche, and the Maple Leafs, Colorado has won a championship. Washington has won a championship. I remember where I was games 4 and 5 when the Capitals broke through and finally won the title. Round 1 against Columbus, down 2-0. We come back to win the series in 6. Round 2, playoff demon, Pittsburgh. We win that series in 6. Shout out Evgeny Kuznetsov, by the way. Round 3 against Tampa Bay, up 2-0. We drop 3 straight. We go to Tampa Bay facing elimination. Back-to-back shutouts. Stanley Cup Finals against Vegas. We drop game 1. No matter. We still win the series in 5. Games 4 and 5, and I live in Washington, D.C. So games 4 and 5, there used to be this Hooters. So it was an old Hooters in Chinatown. It's like across the street, you got the train station, and then like right beside it, you got a couple restaurants, a Walgreens, and then the Hooters. I was there for games 4 and 5. I remember chopping it up with total strangers. I haven't seen them since, but it's one of the best sports moments of my life. And in that same span, the Toronto Maple Leafs have won 2 playoff series total. 2. And it's come within the last 3 years. The decade I've been following and watching hockey, Toronto has lost to Boston 4 times, all in a Game 7. Their last conference finals appearance, I was 6 years old. That was 2002. The last playoff series victory before 23 was 2004. I was 8 years old. I saw a tweet on Twitter last night. The Sabres have more playoff series wins than the Maple Leafs in this century, basically. 4 to Toronto's 2. They've made the conference finals twice. Buffalo hasn't made the playoffs in 14 years. And put aside the losses to Boston for a second. Let's go over these other ones. The 2020 bubble. COVID shuts everything down. Weird postseason. A lot of playoff teams qualifying round. A 5-game series against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Oh, a rebuilding Blue Jackets team, by the way. And they lost. Now, the series was 5 games. It was the best of 5. They lost the series. Not only did they not lead the series at any point, they won games, but they didn't lead the series. Just in case anyone needs a little clarity. They got shut out in Game 1, and then they got shut out in Game 5. 2021. Still a weird season. 56 games, COVID, all Canada division. They finished first. Up 3-1 against the Montreal Canadiens. A zombie Canadiens team, basically. And they lost. They lost the series. And you think it can't get any worse than that, right? Nope. 2022 against Tampa Bay. They've got the defending champ, the 2-time defending champs, down 3-2 with a chance to close the series. You pull this off, you can see, we've had some playoff failures in the past, but this is it. We knock out the defending champs, we'll be fine. We draw Florida in round 2, anything can happen. By the way, Florida won the President's Trophy in 2022. Toronto lost games 6 and 7. 2023, Tampa Bay again. Tired Lightning team, 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals appearances. That's a lot of minutes and a lot of miles to be putting on your guys. It's a lot of deep playoff runs. Toronto wins the series in 6. They finally break through. First playoff series win since 2004. And what do they follow that up with? They get bullied in 5 by the Florida Panthers. The 8th seeded Florida Panthers, by the way. Granted, that Florida team won the President's Trophy a year ago. So, Florida was better than their record indicated. And then they knocked out the greatest regular season team of all time in round one. After being down 3-1. Remember that. And now this year, you outlast Tampa Bay and Florida for the Atlantic Division title. 52 wins, 108 points. Yeah, 108. I had to think about that for a second. I forgot about that record. Yeah. 108 points. You win the division. You're the 2 seed. You beat Ottawa in 6. You go up 3-0. Things kind of get a little weird after dropping games 4 and 5. But you win the series. Round 2. Defending champion, Florida Panthers. You're up 2-0. Even after losing your starting goaltender again due to injury for the second time. Because he missed a chunk of time in the regular season due to injury. But you lose him again due to a very suspect Sam Bennett hit. But he didn't get suspended, so that's neither here nor there. But again, 2-0. It's 2-0. It's looking good. Game 3, you're up 2. First period and early second period, Florida ties it and eventually takes the lead. You come back, tie the game, but you lose in overtime. So it hurts, but it's like, you know what? Even if we lose Game 4, we've got Game 5 back at home. Game 4, you lose 2-0. Okay, we lost both in Florida. You know what? We didn't expect this Florida team to just roll over and die. So here we are now. We're back home, Scotiabank Arena, Game 5 with a chance to really put Florida on their heels. And they lose 6-1. They lost 6-1. And I'm talking, I was at work for Game 5. And I wound up having to finish the last 45 minutes to an hour in a wheelchair because of my health and first aid. So I remember turning the game on my phone, at least the scoreboard, and I saw it was 6-0 with 6:43 left in the game. And that's also considering Boston, New York was a blowout in the NBA playoffs. So that day was just a complete wash. And you just have to think, yep, it's over. Toronto, this and then Game 6 of your legacy games, you start the first half getting your ass kicked. It's over. It's over. Game 6 will be the final game of the Core 4 group. I have no confidence in the Toronto Maple Leafs. I say that with the caveat of having picked Florida to win this series. But Toronto finds a way. They go down to Florida and they shut them out 2-0. They win Game 6. They force a Game 7. Against all odds. Again, who could have thought that Toronto would have pulled that off in Game 6? I certainly didn't. And then last night, Game 7, the first period's 0-0. So, it's just keep getting stops, find a way to get a couple past Bob, and they'll pull it off, right? There was a point in time, this was first half of the first period, where Florida outshot Toronto 7-0. Shots on goal. 7-0. And then the shot attempts, you find out, were 25-0 Florida. It's bad enough you have 0 shots on goal the first half of the first period. You're telling me you're getting outshot on total attempts 25-0? And I had to watch my team face down Carolina in round 2. We lost in 5. 0 shot attempts in 10 minutes. But again, after the first period, the game is tied 0-0. And in a 6-minute stretch, 6 minutes 24 seconds to be specific, the game is over. Florida goes up 3-0. Honestly, the game should have been 5-0 at that point. Because just like in 23, Florida is taking their lunch money and then throwing them in a trash can. And then Max Domi gets on the board, and I remember being on Twitter. I just like the actual like Florida Toronto like Twitter thread, and I commented a pair of eyes because I was just like, does this Toronto team find a way to pull this off? I mean, last year's the teams of the past 8 years would have lost in Game 6. But this team gave you just enough hope, just to cut your heart out with a rusty knife. Not even a minute later, the Panthers score. It's 4-1. It should have been 5-1 also, but Seth Jones, he got a goal called back. So there's that. So this game could have been much worse on the scoreboard. This easily could have been 8-9-1. And then it must have been a TV timeout or something, because I had my eyes on Twitter because I had both windows up separately, and then I come back and I see Florida scored again. It's 5-1. Come to find out, it's Sam Reinhart. And then near the very end, the one constant that has terrorized the Toronto Maple Leafs over this decade plus, Brad Marchand, the empty netter, 6-1. They're throwing jerseys and beer on the ice. Fans are filing out Scotiabank Arena. It's over. It's over. To get this far, despite nobody really expecting you to win this series, despite losing your goaltender in Game 1, after Game 1 for the series basically, despite your stars basically being ghost, you got it to a Game 7. And then you do this. It's 7 years with the core 4. It's 9 years with everybody but replace Tavares with Morgan Riley. You've changed front office people, coaching, auxiliary guys, defense, goaltending, the works. And it's the same shit. Leafs fans, I genuinely feel sorry. Not even sorry. I genuinely do feel for y'all, because you got to wonder, when is this team going to break through? And now Tavares can leave for nothing. Marner he's gone. I would be surprised if Mitch Marner comes back. He's gone. Nylander, he signed. He got his big money extension, but if it goes bad, if it goes bad within the next couple of years, I think he asks out. And then Matthews, when the 2026 league season starts, or league year starts, he's got 2 years left on his deal. You have to wonder, when will he ask out? Should there be major changes? Absolutely. And there will be major changes. Also, by the way, Matthew Nyes, he's a free agent also. And they don't have a first round pick until 2028. I wish I could have kept this shorter, but hey, y'all get what I'm saying. So that's it. I got laundry I gotta do, and wishing y'all well, Toronto. I hopefully you can make one deep playoff run the next 5-10 years. Hopefully, but that might be asking a lot.